Well, thank you so much for doing this. I'm so
Yeah,
excited. Yeah.
because I don't know if you know as well, I also run a photography business,
Yes. Yeah, I
and I
do.
also shoot for Brighton too. So I'm not just the actor in Brighton. I
Yeah,
shoot Platte Valley too.
which is awesome.
Yeah, I do lots.
Yeah,
So we might have some cat visitors. I was going to go outside so that we didn't have cat and dog visitors, but now that I'm inside, we're going to have cat and dog visitors, and so
that's
be
fine.
prepared to meet some fluffy faces.
Oh, so pretty. Look at those eyes.
It's salmon. See, she's a trout.
Seen you in so many different places. I was trying to think of it this morning and I was like,
Oh, nice.
I don't even think I can count how many
Oh my gosh,
I've
it's
seen you
amazing.
in.
Well, I didn't know
Um,
you'd seen me and stuff. Yay.
yeah. Well, because you know who, well, John, obviously,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
husband. So, like, but we've gone and seen other plays
Uh-huh.
like even that he wasn't in. So I was going to ask you because you, since you live in Centennial and you drive to Brighton a lot, so like what is it about? What is it called now? Platte Valley Players. It's
Yeah, Platte Valley Theatre Arts.
Platte Valley Theatre Arts that makes you keep coming back.
I love Platte Valley Theatre Arts. I've been working with Kelly Van Osprey for well over 10 years. And what's really important to me as I've gotten older is I really like to work for places that I like, for people that I like, doing material that I like at a content quality that I like. And so all of those things have to line up for me to leave my house to go audition. And Platte Valley Players, nope, Platte Valley Theatre
Yeah.
Arts consistently checks all of those boxes. Like, I want to work for Kelly. I love the space. The light design is always awesome. They do awesome set design. The scripts are always just on point. It's always thoughtful. It's always a pleasant place to work, to rehearse. It's just, it checks all of my boxes, even though it is well over an hour from my house. I will always turn up.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I think Kelly's amazing.
Mhm.
She really is. And I feel like there's just something about, I mean, like for local theater, I feel like Kelly's shows are always above
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't want to diss on local theater because most of it is amazing, but
Yeah.
there's just something that's elevated with what
Yeah.
she does.
Because my schedule is so full because of my photography job that if I'm going to go out and do a show, I want to know that it's going to be the entire experience is going to be good. Because, like, sometimes you're in a show and the show is poo poo, but the rehearsal process was great, and that's fine. Sometimes the rehearsal process is poo poo, and then the show is great. But when I'm only able to really do one show a year, I want I want to be a happy camper through the entire process.
No, well, I love that. I love that you feel like that checks all your boxes because I
It
really,
just such a well-rounded theater that makes the actors happy, the designers happy, and the audience happy.
yeah, I feel like that's one thing that's like I've just noticed, well, because um, our youngest has been in theater since kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
And the audience really, really matters.
Mm-hmm.
Because they, I mean, they've been in performances that were just like the performance, everything went right. There wasn't one thing that
Mm-hmm.
went wrong. And the audience is just like
Yeah.
dead fish. And you're just like,
Yeah.
what is it about you guys that you're not engaging in this?
Mm-hmm.
And that's always a huge bummer when that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. You get the 2 o'clock on a Saturday crowd is a tough crowd. And so you have to gear yourself for that 2 o'clock Saturday show, and then everything else is just easy as pie.
So what inspired you to be an actor?
Well, I had a friend in lower school who was in the school, the big all school musical. And when she was in that, we couldn't hang out because she was always at rehearsal. And I was like, can't hang out with Megan because she's in rehearsal. So I'm going to audition for the next show so that we can hang out together. And that show was The Music Man.
Oh, I
And
love
I
music,
ended up
man.
getting Amaryllis in The Music Man. And she was in the ensemble. And so I did Amaryllis in The Music Man, and I was like, that was actually really fun. This is pretty cool. I get to sing and dance and stuff. Wait, yay! And let me get my hair curled. I had hair at that time. It was little ringlets. It was really cute. Uh, and then the next year I auditioned again, and I got in, and then she didn't. And I was like, oh, whoops. And so I didn't audition the year after that, and then we were in lacrosse together. And let me say, I'm not a sports ball person. I tried very hard. I tried to be in lacrosse, and she was the on point person making all of the goals and things, and I was over with my little stick on the other side, being like, I hope no one throws the ball this way because I'm terrible at catching it and I can't get it off of the ground. And after doing that for a year, I went back to the theater because it fit me a whole lot better, and started to get, more skills and audition more places, and it just kind of made a nice ramp into where we are today.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, I
With
do
no
have
sports
to
ball.
ask you.
Mm.
So, what is your favorite thing to photograph? Just because you're a photographer too. Like,
I specialize in live theater. So
okay.
every week I'm photographing between 2 and 4 shows. So it is my favorite thing to photograph because so much a part of the production, even though I'm only there for one night. I I'm there at the tech, and I'm seeing all of my favorite people and getting to be a part of that production. It's my favorite thing to capture because it's hard and it's fast, and I get to see everything. So it keeps me a huge part of the community without actually having to be in 12 shows a year. One time I was doing that and I was like, this is not sustainable. Good day.
Yeah, that would be tough. Yeah, but I agree. Like, theater is one of my favorite things to photograph too.
I just shot Torch Song at Vintage Theater last night. That's what I got to shoot this week. So
Oh, how fun.
yeah.
What do you feel like your biggest challenge is as an actor?
Biggest challenge as an actor. I actually have a whole lot of hidden disabilities. And so I'm dealing with a whole lot of things during rehearsal and being on stage that can really make life a lot more complicated for me. I have a really severe migraine disease, and so it makes me light sensitive, which,
Oh,
being on stage makes it difficult. But many, like all of the light designers who design at Platte Valley Theatre Arts know me and know to not do bright light from down low or from the sides. And so during tech, we'll check the lights and they'll set the lights and then they'll lower the lights so I don't have to stand in the lights because my body works on a timer of the longer that I'm in the lights, the closer we get to a disastrous migraine. And they look like strokes or seizures. They're called hemiplegic migraines. And so I can't speak, I can't stand, I can't see, I don't know who you are, I don't know what's going on. So like I'm just essentially gone. And so it's really important to manage the light in a way to keep those from happening. And so that makes my life very difficult, and it's very frustrating because tech rehearsal is difficult. Rehearsal is difficult because if we're rehearsing in the gym and we're in there for more than 4 hours and the light and it's everything, it's my body struggles with that. I also have a joint disorder called hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos. And so that makes acting painful for me. And so all of these things have come along later in life. They've been there my entire life, but they've become more severe as I've gotten older. And all of the different autoimmune system diseases are playing cruelly with each other. So in a role like Puck, for example, that was really tough because my body was pushed to the max with what I was asking it to do with the light because it was in the round, and so the light was coming from all different angles, which was hard for my eyeballs and my brain, and also the physical activity of the show was difficult to keep things less painful and functioning properly. So
oh
that's
wow.
what I struggle with.
That's huge. And Tech Week must be really hard because it's a full week
Yeah.
of being around lights and being
Yeah.
physical and
And that's what's important to me to work with people who know me really well is I can't do a week of tech. I can do 2 or 3 days because the way that my brain functions is it's cumulative. So the longer I'm in things for more days in a row, I have a 4 hour, 4 day max. And so if we have 2 days of performances, we really need to make use of those 2 days before of tech because if we get earlier into tech, it just my body gets exhausted and it'll fail on that Saturday. So Platte Valley Theatre Arts is awesome at accommodating, keeping things so that I am able to work because there's a whole lot of places that I'm no longer able to work because it asks too much of my body. And if I don't have an understudy, or even if I do have an understudy, it's like, what's the point of having an actor who can't do what they're hired to do when I'm looking at the schedule and I'm like, I'm going to fail here, here, and here. We need to move this schedule around. Platte Valley Theatre Arts does that for me.
That is really amazing. Oh, who are some of the actors who have influenced you?
Who are some of the actors that have influenced? I love me Charlie Chaplin, Lucille Ball. The big time comedic physical actors are my jam. Being able to communicate to the audience non-verbally, I think, is the most important thing to do as an actor. Did you see Tomato Plant Girl?
Yes, yes.
How many words did I speak in that show?
Yeah.
4. Dirt, water, right?
Yeah.
Tomato, and friend. So what my body was doing and communicating to, especially in children's theater, when the words may be like over their heads or like English isn't their first language, then it's like,
Yeah.
so if your body isn't showing them the entire plot, you're not doing it right. And adult theater too, right? Because they may or may not be listening, they may or may not be listening to what you're saying or the context or anything else of what's for dinner and is that my phone and I need to go to the bathroom. All of these things that are going on in everyone's brain all the time. If they're not able to just kind of glance and be like, oh, that's the person that is unhappy with what's going on because of their body language, that's right. If you can't immediately check in, and Lucille Ball and Charlie Chaplin, you can mute it, especially Lucille Ball. You can mute it and know exactly what's going on. Charlie Chaplin, obviously, in most of his early work, there was no language happening, right? It would pause, there would be text, and then you would watch the action. So all of my everything that I do is based off of nonverbal communication, learning from those two masters.
Yeah. I was going to say, even in Urinetown, I felt like things were happening and you would be down here and I was like looking at you.
Yeah.
Because
she's the narrator.
You were
Yeah.
still acting. Like
Uh-huh.
your body was acting even though they were talking. Like
Yeah.
I felt like I just kept looking at you.
Yeah. And as a photographer who photographs live theater, a lot of people, like kids, I get it.
Yeah.
Straight up adults, I can always see you. I represent the
Yes.
audience. I can always see you. So when you're back there, like a line, 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 line,
Yep.
it's like, what is going on? Tune in, check in, always be listening.
Yeah, and still be acting even though you're not the main focus because people are
Active
still
listening.
looking at you.
Mhm.
Yes.
Active listening. You're still communicating.
Yeah. And I do it even when we do Broadway shows. I'm still like I still am photographing it.
Mhm. Oh, I can't help it either. I'm always like, all the settings in my brain, I'm like,
Yeah, yeah. And then oh, this is the perfect lighting. And
I'm like, I'll bet you there's going to be a big mood change over there and there's going to be a line. They're going to highlight that person and it's going to be about 50% brighter. There it was. Anyway, what's going on?
yeah, yeah. How do you prepare for a role?
Well, I have a degree in acting from college. And so I've got an education of how to prepare for a role, and all the things that you should be doing. But something that is really important to me, because I have this migraine disorder, that every time I have a massive migraine, it wipes my memory. Learning lines is the biggest thing for me. I have to really, really work hard to learn the lines. And so I spend most of my time, way before we even start rehearsing, getting those lines in my brain, because my disabilities will just take them. And so I have to really have a super, super solid base. And then once I have that base and I'm working with that scene partner, then I can verb the script. And because that's your motivation. What am I doing? Because if the line is good morning and you play it good morning, but if your verb is to torment because you don't like the person that you're saying good morning to, it's good morning. Subtext is everything. Verbing is everything. So as soon as I have those lines down and I I'll verb them in before I have the first read with the other actors to kind of have a base. But as I rehearse, I'll change those because if the director gives you a note that's I would like this scene needs to be more driven. I want you to be more connected to why you dislike this person or what you want from this person. Then you change those verbs, and that will help change your motivation in your subtext.
Oh, nice. So, is there anything that you learned in school that you feel like either really matters for you when you're preparing for a role, or is there something that you're like, well, they said that, but really, I don't know.
Subtext.
Yeah.
So many people don't subtext and don't verb their scripts. They just learn their lines and they're like, I'm acting because I'm saying the words and I'm upset right now. And this monologue is really important to my character's entire line. And it's like, it's all one note, me. And so, like, if you, that's what verbing will do. And subtext. If you don't do that, you're just reading. And that's the biggest thing that I still use.
I am still gonna, like, every show I go to now, I'm gonna be like,
You can tell.
yeah,
Did you see Doubt?
no.
That was me and Jeff Parker were just like subtext, verb, things. Like what we were saying to each other had nothing to do with because it was so subtext verb driven that it was like, good morning, Father Flynn. Good morning, sister.
Oh no, I did see Doubt.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No, that was
Subtext. That entire show, the lines in my scenes with Father Flynn had nothing to do with what we were saying.
No, and it was, oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was like weeks after I kept thinking about it.
I love that show.
Oh my gosh, I was like, oh, I mean, because there was so much. It was so packed full of so much. And you're like,
90 minutes.
And half of what was packed full in it wasn't said.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, Doubt was amazing.
Yep.
That was an amazing show.
Excellent example of subtext and verbing.
How do you balance the creative side of acting with the business side of acting?
That's probably actually a better question for photographer Rachel, because I don't do a whole lot of business acting anymore.
Okay.
I used to act full time. I would be in a children's show. Like when I was at my peak, I would be in a children's show at the Arvada Center, and I would be in an evening show, and I would be rehearsing for another show. And it was really tough because you have to plan so far ahead with auditions and who's auditioning and what's your biggest priority. When does that run? What's the pay? Who's directing? Can I skip straight to callback so that I don't have to do the audition, which conflicts with the rehearsal and like all of that? It's basically just being a god at scheduling. You are your own secretary, your own tax person, your own write-off person, budget. It's so hard to be an independent contractor for 6 different places at once that it's just managing your schedule is the most important part of being an actor. And that has just kind of shifted right over into the photography for live theater, because I'm working for 20 different theaters right now. And it's keeping my schedule straight is most of what I do. I have a paper calendar because one time Google pooped its pants and erased my schedule. And so now I have a paper schedule, paper only. I have a whiteboard and paper.
Yeah, every once in a while I'll like forget to change the time when I'm scheduling something. And then I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that.
I double booked myself.
Yeah. How has acting changed you as a person?
How has acting changed me as a person? I've been doing it for so long. I started acting I started dancing when I was 2. So I've been on stage forever. It's tough to say because it's always been there and it's such a slow change. I think that acting has helped me become more comfortable with what I look like, because I look different than your average person. Because I have alopecia universalis, and so I've been bald on and off for most of my life until I turned 21, and then I went completely bald. And I was in a show at the time that all of my hair fell out. And so I had to make the transition mid run, mind you, from doing my own hair to finding a wig and styling the wig for the era of that show, which was Camelot. And I was like, I don't know how to style a wig to look like it were in Camelot. But I had a whole lot of help. We had people who were helping me transition from, because I shaved my head at the theater, at the Lakewood Cultural Center before the show of Camelot, because I was like, I can't style this to look right, and I can't get what it with the wig and everything, so it just needs to go. And so I think having that community is what has changed me the most and has been the most there for me, is because if I didn't have that community, I'm not sure how I would have gotten through all of the struggles that I've had with, being a bald woman in a absolute world of your hair is your life. It's every time you go into a dressing room, all the women are like, "Oh my God, my hair looks like such poo-poo today, and my hair's not looking right, and this wig is such a piece of crap, and it really itches me." And I'm like,
You're like,
I'm so sorry, but it's what's been there for me, or all of the people and everything to, be the bald chicken. It's okay. And I even work sometimes without a wig, which is rare, but there are roles that people do put me into that are like, hey, it would be really appropriate for you to not wear a wig. Are you okay with that? And I'm like, yes, because I live my life with no wig. They drive me crazy. I've come to accept this is what I look like now. So theater and acting helped me get here.
that's really sweet. I mean, like, seriously, just to have that community. I don't feel like a
Yeah.
lot of people always have that and have
Yeah.
that support.
It's vital. It's having a community is vital, because being an actor is hard. Being a disabled actor is hard. Being a disabled actor that looks different than everyone else is hard. And so having a community that is just like, oh, hey, Rachel, and not like, hey, bald person who has a limp today because you dislocated your knee and you have your sunglasses on because you are getting a migraine. It's just like, hey, oh, do you feel crappy today? Sorry. Need anything? No. Just, lower your voices. Thank you.
So, what message or themes do you find yourself drawn to in your work?
Things that are, what message or themes am I drawn to? Difficult topics, uncomfortable topics, things that have some social relevance and not just entertainment. I think having an entertainment quality in there is always important, but having an entertainment quality in there with a message that is socially and culturally relevant is very nice. Because if you look at Little Prince, what's the message that Little Prince teaches, right? We teach about death. We're looking at themes of life isn't all about money. Your value isn't monetary. You look at friendship, you look at betrayal, you look at forgiveness, and that's all just kind of wrapped up in this simple story of a little guy who decides to leave his planet. Right, tomato plant girl, and of course, I'm going to list all these young theater for young audiences things because it's my favorite thing to do. I love theater for young audiences because it really compacts these messages into a little 45-minute, snack. It's like, here's a theater snack for you. And it's for adults too, right? I love theater snacks. Like Doubt, theater snack. Yes, you're all going to have indigestion, but it was a snack. We came, we ate, we have indigestion, but it was a snack. The stuff that makes you think, something that you're going to go sit in the car and argue about, right? That's the kind of stuff that I really like.
That's probably why I've seen so many of your shows.
Yep, because it's like, oh, that looks dirty.
Yeah.
That looks uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's always so much more fun.
It is. Because, if it's just going to be like, it was a great day after all, and they all got married. I'm like, oh, I knew what was going to happen in the first scene. When they were like, oh my God, love at first sight. No, we can't get together. I hate you. Now we're going to get married.
Yeah.
And Golden Age musicals have their place in theater, but it's not something that I have a great deal of love for. And there are a lot of people who are like, and they clutch their pearls. And I'm like, well, I would rather do Urinetown. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't want to be in Hello Dolly. I'd rather be in, something a little grittier.
So that does lead to another question. What is a show that you would love to do that you haven't done?
Hmm. I've really annihilated just about everything off of my to-do list
Oh,
of things that I
nice.
want to do. And I've gotten to do a couple of them twice, which is
That's nice.
fantastic. There's one that I want to do, but I'm not old enough for yet. Wit, W-I-T, Wit. It is the story of a woman who is dying of cancer. And I think that is a fantastic, it's got a great message. It's uncomfortable, right? She dies on stage. And you watch her transition from being a successful woman, absolutely in the prime of her career. She's like 45, just getting into that tenure, getting ready to retire in 10 years. Then she gets hit with cancer, loses all of her hair, loses her everything collapses and she dies. That I hope to be in a position where I am able to be that role when I'm old enough to be that role.
That sounds awesome.
She dies naked and alone on stage.
Oh.
People need to, like, it's gonna happen to all of us and your parents
Hmm.
and your friends,
Yeah.
and processing that, learning from the mistakes that are made in the show I think are so important for people to absorb and live through and take into their lives. And I think that's what good theater should do, is learn from the mistakes that are made on stage and apply them to your own life so you're better for it.
Yeah, I agree. I think I mean, there's a lot of times we go to shows and I leave and I'm just like, oh, like it wasn't just about watching something and being entertained.
Mm-hmm,
It was a
mm-hmm.
lot about learning about who I am and how I want to be in the world.
Yeah, I can toast my brain on Witcher on Netflix, but let's go see some theater.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like that's a really important topic because it's something that Americans don't talk about. We
Mm.
just do not talk about death, and
No,
we act like it's avoidable in some way, or that
yeah,
someday we're going to cure it. Like it's a
yeah.
cure, and it's not.
It's
We're
like you
all gonna.
can make it easier for yourself.
Hmm.
It will always be awful and hard and unexpected and all of the things, but you can learn to process it a little bit differently than pretending like it doesn't exist.
Yeah. What advice would you give aspiring young actors
That
as they're
ties in really
just starting
well to
out?
what we just discussed.
Yeah.
Um, I think the most important thing for aspiring actors to learn is how to process rejection. It's not something that's taught in your traditional school, be it middle, lower, high, college. How do I process when I have been rejected? And how do I continue being passionate about theater when I hear no, 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 right? So um, something different is going to work for everybody, but start practicing in middle school, lower school, when you're like, I'm auditioning for the Addams Family and I want to be Pugsley, and you don't get it, right? Something that I do that works super well for me is I give myself 24 hours to be as upset as I need to be about it. I will cry. I will, if I need to throw something, I will throw something. If I need to eat a tub of ice cream, I will reward myself and eat my feelings with a tub of ice cream. If I need to go on a super long walk, if I need to go shopping and just look at things, what do you do when you're upset? Do something when you're upset, right? Physically do to help your body, because it's like the body keeps the score, right? Your body
Hmm.
hits that feeling, and if you just ingest it, it will stay forever. But if you go out and you get those feelings out 24 hours, I can do anything for 24 hours to process these emotions of rejection. And then after 24 hours, you can let it go, right? The information is still there of, I didn't get that role. I may never know why I didn't get that role. I might not have been good enough. I might have been too short. I might have been bald. I have lost roles because I haven't had hair before, and that's fine. I processed it, was mad about it, angry, hurt, depressed, all of the things. 24 hours, I'm going to let that go. And so that's the biggest thing that I would start practicing now is that 24-hour let go. When you feel it bubble up again, like, gosh, and then there was that one show that I didn't get. And I processed that and it's in the past.
That is, I mean, that is such good advice. I mean, even for other artists.
Yeah,
I mean,
anybody.
you,
life in general.
yes, just exactly.
Do it.
Yeah. I mean, even because like if you're up for a promotion and you don't get it,
Mhm.
those
Yeah.
things are big.
Your goldfish dies.
Yeah. I feel
I'm
like
going to bring the
actors,
death right back into it there. See what I did?
Rachel, a little dark.
Never.
But yeah, I mean, those things are, I feel like so much of what I've talked about with artists is like, it doesn't just apply to your craft.
Yeah.
Like it really applies to life. And I feel like there's so many things processing wise that artists do
Hmm.
that even if you weren't an artist, you could still use those in your life to process.
Yeah.
And just like the creativity aspect, I feel like is so important for young kids to learn because whether you're being creative in art class or being creative in solving a problem in life, you still need those skills.
Yeah.
And
The artist is a full human because all of the skills and things that you've learned apply everywhere.
well, I think that's it. Thank you so much for
Yay.
doing this. This was
Of
awesome.
course.
So great. I can't wait to see you in another show. What's your next show?
I think the next one is going to be Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Tomato Plant Girl, which started in Brighton and has gone several other places, is remounting again. And that's going to be at the Parker Arts Center in Parker.
Okay.